Now, how many of you use Waze or Google Map, whether to travel here or to go on vacation? A lot of you, right? I don't know if you've realized this, but Google Maps can be a phenomenal tool in your classroom. All you need is a projector and a laptop with the internet or your computer lab. But if you think about your content, it doesn't matter if it's social studies or English or math or science or whatever. There's content where you're trying to show a student where things happen. So if you think about the 6th grade curriculum with ancient Egypt, rather than just rely on what's in the book, you can bring up Google Maps and go to places like Egypt. And maybe say to the kids, hey, let's drag a little yellow guy on the map and see what the Sphinx looks like today. Do they seem to let people get close to it? How does it fit what you imagine it was going to look like? And they also get a real big kick out of going to the satellite view and seeing the satellite imagery. And it can tie in to your other terms about what are the bodies of water, what do the landforms look like. But in other content area, you can also take a look at where did certain things happen and what does the terrain look like. So Google Maps can be really great as far as just viewing, but in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you may not know this, but they can build and create collaborative maps where they actually put place markers. So if you're teaching World War I, you can have the kids collaborate on, major battles, and they can add photographs to those place markers. And rather than you sitting there talking at them about this battle, that battle, the next, they can come up and show the map they built and show each other historic photos that they found. And again, talk to your tech integration specialist. They can talk to me if you don't know how to do these kind of things. Another way that you can use Google's tools is something called Google Earth. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. It's something that you download onto your computer, and it's a little bit more immersive. And I'm just going to show you real quick what it looks like. It's really more like a spinning globe that you can spin around. And what's interesting about it is that you can actually download pre-made trips. So there's something called Google Lit Trips, where some teachers have put together book travels. So for instance, if you're reading the story Bud Not Buddy, you can download that Google Lit Trip, and what it'll do is it'll put on the screen place markers for where things happened in the book. And it even ties into, if you click on the place markers, it will show you photos, background information. So it can bring a different experience to your English classes. But even if you're not reading books, it can be interesting just to show them places on the map. So for instance, we're at the Carney Center, and they love this flying feeling. And so we're going to fly over to the Carney Center and take a look around. And again, you can zoom in, zoom out, take a look at landforms. You could use it with math class. Let's say that we're here at the Carney Center, and we want to go to Mount Rushmore. So we're going to fly over to Mount Rushmore. And a lot of times kids have trouble with the idea of measurement. So here we are at Mount Rushmore, we could have a little talk about, who's ever been there? Does it look similar to what you saw? Does it match what you imagined Mount Rushmore would look like? But then on top of that, there's this little ruler built in. So if your students put place markers on the ruler, they can measure how far away things are. And again, these place markers, you could put them there in advance, or they could build them on their computers. So I want to measure from Mount Rushmore over to where we are here. So it's about 1,400 miles from here to there. So again, it's skills that you might already be doing in the classroom that you could just bring to them in a little bit different way. Another way that you can bring your students some more information is through virtual tours. A lot of times our textbooks might have an example of something. And your curriculum might say, in the 7th grade, work with your students on the Hudson River Art School. And there's going to be one picture. But you could take a virtual tour and really explore what those paintings look like. Maybe talk to the art teacher and say, you know, we looked at these 13 pictures. Could you have the kids do something in the style?
I just want to, for sixth grade social studies, we do the ancient civilizations. And for the Paleolithic and Neolithic, there is a virtual tour of the cave art of the, I'm not going to say it right, it's a French word, the Lascaux cave.
Okay.
But they actually take the kids through the caves and you see all the cave art.
How?
And you see, and there's not a lot of artifacts from ancient world. So
Right.
that's like a really good one.
And so ancient cave art. And what I'm going to do, and again, like I said, when I hear these things, I add it. So when I give you the slide deck, I'll look it up. And you're at Chesterhoga?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I can't remember, I'll ask John. Yeah. And I'll add that here. But there are so many rich resources. And again, it's hard to get a school bus, even if the Metropolitan had cave art, to bring the kids there. But sometimes it's good enough to give them that virtual tour. Another thought, if you've never tried it, is using Skype or Google Hangouts. You may not be aware of this, but there are actually authors who are willing to Skype into your classroom for free. And they're short, 10 or 15 minutes, but what an interesting way to read a book and have the actual author come and talk to your students for 15 minutes. And again, think about the skills that you're bringing them with technology. I can't believe, like a few years ago, the sixth grader said to me, "Oh, Mrs. Oro, Oogle, are you using Oogle? It's the greatest thing." So they're used to communicating with each other through the internet, but now how do you bring your professional students up to something? So just by having these things, you're bringing that to the students. Also, you can Skype experts. You may have a parent who works in Merck or Sharing Cloud, and sometimes it's hard for them to travel into where you are because the roads are just difficult sometimes today. So even if they wanted to come to you, it might be difficult. But they might be able to Skype in and have a conversation with your kids about a science topic. Also, one of my favorite things to do with kids in years past is something called a mystery Skype. Has anybody tried them? You tried some mystery Skypes?
It wasn't actually a mystery Skype.
Okay.
It was, my son happened to be in Krakow, Poland.
Cool.
And he was actually at a seminary. And I had him Skype in, and they took a tour through it.
Wow.
And that was pretty cool. They loved it.
What a lot of power. And again, fairly simple. I mean, the first time you do a Skype, it takes a little bit of practice. But then once you do it, it's easy. A mystery Skype is where you and another teacher plan to have your kids basically play 20 questions with each other. Okay? In a traditional mystery Skype, you might find a teacher in another state. And what they do is some kids are on paper maps, some are on Google Maps, some are taking photos, some are asking questions, some are answering questions. And the idea is the kids say things like, "Are you in North America?" Yes. Are you in the United States? No. Does your country touch water? Yes. And you go back and forth until the kids figure out where the other school is located. But you could even, if you have a buddy in another Catholic school, do a mystery saint study, where each class decides on what saint they're going to research and know about, and then they can ask each other, is your saint a man? No. Did your saint live before 1900? Yes. And you go back and forth until they figure it out. So again, you're building those tech skills of how do you talk to somebody else, how do you use technology in a way that is meaningful to add to your learning, but just adds a little different to it.